we must never or not stop what we're doing when the media leaves. We must continue to pray for and help in any way that we can our brothers and sisters in that nation. Now this evening I am to address the topic, my father's dream, my mission. And I want to qualify that just a little bit. First of all, to Provost, to the Chancellor, Provost, all of the administration, faculty, and staff at the University of Arkansas, students of this great university, to parents that may be here, to Martin Luther King Jr. Commission members that are here. It is a special honor for me because over the last few days, as I've traveled around our nation, over 1 million people did in fact engage in community service activities around the nation. And to give an award through our organization to a lady who has an organization that focuses on youth violence. Her name is a name that may one day become household or may not. But the work that she does, perhaps we can relate to around our nation. Her story in 1995 began when her son was murdered, stabbed by youth violence. And her son's name was Bobby. Her name is Inzara Mendez. And she started a foundation to help mothers who would lose children through violence. The tragedy is 10 years after her first son was killed. Her second son was killed by gun violence. And yet, when the individuals who committed the crimes were brought to justice, she stood up to say that I forgive you for what you have done. You just another young person. Because she found that in forgiving, it was not just therapeutic, but it helped her to go on and continue to lead this crusade for other mothers and fathers who have lost their children. Because there's something wrong in our nation, this nation that we all call home, with the level of violence continuing to increase all over our nation. And yet we seem, we all, I'm in a gun-carrying state. I live in Georgia and Arkansas. We love our guns. We're obsessed with our guns. And that's fine if you feel you need to have one. I'm not criticizing you. But there's something wrong when we use those guns in the manner that we are using them today. There's something wrong when you need a Uzi or a MAC-10 or some other kinds of guns. That doesn't seem like it is for protection. I don't know what you use those for, but people do have them. I mean, we're gunned down. We got more guns than anybody on the planet in America. And I don't know when we're going to be concerned, when we're going to become concerned enough to do something different. Because I just believe that what we're doing is inhumane to ourselves. It is man's inhumanity to man. I don't believe that God. And ultimately, if we don't put a stop to it, where will our nation, what will become of our nation? Now, it's easy to understand why violence is so pervasive. Because we start off and we let our children watch cartoons. 7 out of 10 of them are violent. And then we allow our children to watch television, and 6 out of 10 television shows are violent. And then our children learn video games, and 8 out of 10 of them are about blowing up something and shooting something. And then we go to the theater, and 6 out of 10 movies in the theater are violent, and we don't understand why we are violent. You are what you consume. As long as we consume that kind of information, then we will be engaged in negative behavior. We as Americans are much better than some of the behavior that we are engaged upon. God did not make us as human beings to end up killing one another as the killings have occurred. So I certainly believe that if my father were alive, on last Friday, he would have been 81 years old, January 15th. But he would be in the forefront of the struggle because he talked about triple evils. He talked about the evil of poverty and racism and militarism, saying that we must find ways to eradicate those evils. And he left us a blueprint for how we could do it. But of course, we've made progress in some areas. Great strides in the area of race. Does that mean that racism does not exist anymore? Absolutely not. But we've made great strides. We made strides last year. Actually, in 2008, in November, when we elected our first African American president. But that does not mean the issue of race no longer is an issue. If it was, Professor Gates would not have been arrested in his home, even when he was unruly. He was probably wrong, whatever he said to those police officers in Massachusetts, Cambridge, but he was in his house. And then he came out of his house and he was arrested. So, race is still real, but we're making progress. Now, where we've made no progress is in poverty and in the area of militarism. We are spending millions and trillions of dollars. We will ultimately spend trillions of dollars believing that we're going to protect ourselves. We have to do all we can to protect our nation.